Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are
thrilled
to death that you are listening to our show. We have got a banger of a show tonight. We are joined tonight by
Rob Chafe,
the ever normal amp guy.
The grumpy amp guy.
What you gonna come up with here?
That needs a jingle. We'll think of it later. But more importantly, maybe not more importantly, equally importantly, but taking away the show from off of our hands for most of this time, is Alex. Alex, introduce yourself.
Hey, this is Alex Guaraldi from Coppersound Pedals.
Yes. And we are doing a 101 on DIY pedal assembly.
And Todd, for those who don't know what that stands for, what does that stand for?
Do it yourself.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
That's all we need to know. That was a great podcast. We learned something.
Yes. So we're really excited because Alex has provided a box full of incredible goodies.
Oh, yes.
That can help make dreams come alive. And that's great on its own. But more importantly, he systematically is going to help the world build pedals.
Wow.
That's his mission. He told me so. Didn't you, Alex? We were getting tacos.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
You were talking about search and destroy, and we were getting some tacos.
Yes. I highly encourage you watching Search and Destroy, everybody. That's anyways.
Not required to do DIY.
No, not required.
But it should be.
Maybe. Anyways, we're just really excited. We're all goofy over here because, well, at least I am usually goofy anyways. We got a couple of announcements before we get into this, and we're not gonna, we're gonna go as fast as we can in this. We have a couple, things we got to cover.
Yeah.
First of all, I wanted to do a huge shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, David Kaminga. That's right, David, one of our greatest supporters, longtime listener, and pod friend, and friend of the community. Pedal builders out there, he is a huge supporter of you, as well as amp builders and guitar builders. He is a gear fiend. So thank you for being a gear fiend, David, and more importantly, for supporting independent music. Because I just released a single on, out there on Bandcamp.
Blackmailing the guests.
Anyways, that was just a really nice surprise. I was like, dang, thanks, David.
Does that mean I have to buy one too?
Yes. Anyhow, beyond that, I'm very excited because after this show, we are having none other than Marcus Reeves of Reeves Electro and guest on the show.
And guest.
Yes.
To be
very
announced.
exciting news from them. And we're going to have Jack Bates, the bass player of Smashing Pumpkins, son of Peter Hook. He's going to be on the show coming up, in a couple weeks or whatever. And we got a whole bunch of other great guests. I'm really excited about what's coming on in late summer and early fall and all that good stuff.
Can't wait.
Okay, without further ado, Tony,
Yes.
do your thing.
Which one?
I don't
What's
know
going
what
on
comes
in
next
music
either.
world this week?
You're supposed to ask me that.
Oh,
because I
Tony,
have to do so many
would
things
you do
now.
your thing?
I would.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tanya Bolonsky,
Yes, Todd.
at your whim.
Sounds interesting. This week, I was out in California. I think, as I said last time, and specifically San Luis Obispo, and more specifically at the Madonna Inn. And little did I realize that the night that I got in, they have an expo center further down the road. And I did not know this, but had I known, I would have definitely gone. So Les Claypool was playing at this. I mean, it's not a very large center.
Yeah.
But it was with his, was it the Fearless Flying Frog Band?
Sounds right.
It's one of his quirky projects.
Oh, yeah. One of
Which
those.
one? But more importantly, Sean Lennon is playing in that band.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
And while we were walking through the property, I had a Sean Lennon sighting.
Oh.
And I'm almost 100% sure. It
Was that
him.
exciting for you?
A little bit. I mean, if I was like 5 minutes closer, I could have actually seen him. But he was walking away back. They had dinner at the restaurant there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his entourage, small entourage, were walking back, probably to their car to take them back to the expo center.
Well, right on.
So while I didn't get to go to a lot of guitar shops or anything, or any
There's
guitar
not a lot
shops
out there.
well, when we ran through Denver on the way back.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for a couple of days.
Got a couple hacky sack games.
Yeah, all those things. And but that was kind of worth the price of admission. So a Sean Lennon sighting.
Did you go to Solvang and get the pastries?
I did not.
I cannot believe you, Tony.
Well, here's the thing. We didn't. We had to Uber everywhere. And once you're at the Madonna Inn, you're kind of in a compound.
They have a shuttle
They do
to
not.
Solvang.
They do not.
They do. Anyways,
Next time.
I can't.
Maybe next
okay,
time.
next time I go there, I'll mail you a box of them.
But I did.
Anybody that's on the West Coast knows exactly. They're like, oh yeah, those are fantastic.
But I did fully enjoy San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
That is a great little town.
Yeah,
So, but
pretty good.
there you go. So that was my week.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Good
All
weather.
right, Alex Guaraldi, what's going on in the music world?
So I actually was just at a show last night. I was very fortunate enough to be invited by the drummer. The band is Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
They're playing in our area. Jordan in the company has become close with Brooks and somewhat close to his family. And they were in the area, so they got us some passes and whatnot. So we got to see their show. Really good show. I had never seen them live before. Funnily enough, I had met the guys more often than seeing them play live. So it was fun to finally see them.
Oh, this is what you guys do. Oh,
Yeah. I thought you were carrying instruments for a reason.
yeah.
So we got to see the show. There was a moment that was weird on stage because Brian, their lead guitarist, he had an injury like mid-song, but we didn't realize that. It was all of a sudden he was gone, and the band thought he was playing a trick. And you could still hear his parts. It was like Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. Go figure. It was like during like the hardest part of that song, and they're like, "Good one, Brian, still nailing it." And they're like, "Oh, hold on, Brian's actually really hurt. We'll be back in a few minutes."
Was it like the tech doing the rest of the solo or something?
Nope.
No,
Brian
he-
sat in a chair and did the whole song.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then finished the entire set.
Wow.
I think the paramedics on site just didn't want him to move anymore and just finish the set. He did it, flying colors. Then he went to the hospital. They're heading to Canada right now, and I guess he's all right, which is good. He was a trooper for doing that, and
yeah. Did he like roll his ankle or something?
I think something with a calf. I'm not sure if it was like what necessarily it was, but something internal that kind of felt like he got hit with a golf ball or something. Like that's how he said it felt. We were speaking with their drummer, and he was giving us some updates and whatnot. But they had a great show, really fun to hang out with the guys, and just super fortunate to have that networking.
That's super cool, man. Very cool. They're a good, loud, energetic band. Those guys are.
I'm wondering actually if he'll do a Dave Grohl and have like a really cool chair the rest of the tour.
Yeah, right. Well, that thing's probably somewhere making its rounds after Axel and everything.
That's right.
So let's see, Rob, what's going on in your music world this week?
Let's see here. Got a guitar.
What?
What?
Yeah, bought another guitar.
What'd you get?
Yeah,
What'd you get?
I didn't
You're
need.
clearly so excited about that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this one. So I've been kind of keeping my eyes open for a Pelham Blue Les Paul Special.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not a vintage one, but back in 2011, they made a short run of these
Yes.
things.
Yes, nice
So-
ones. Actually lacquered ones.
Yeah, no, it's lacquered. It is the cheapest, of the cheap. Like no binding, no nothing. Just
Yep.
But that's the way I like actually Les Pauls. I don't like the carved tops. I like the specials.
Yeah, me too.
But so anyway, they made a special run of them, and I've been keeping my eye out. And one came up on Reverb at a reasonable price. He was asking $1,000 on Sunday.
That's solid.
Well, I messaged him and said, "Would you take 800 plus shipping?" And he said yes.
That's even solider.
Even solider. So, but yeah, showed up yesterday, so that's cool. Has some issues, so yeah, I had to take it over to a buddy and have him check it out. And
Now,
tell me
does
what
that
it's going to
have
need.
that doesn't have the mini traps in it, does it?
No,
Yeah,
no.
okay.
Dot inlay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mine's the mini traps. That was the run before.
I know which
those.
ones. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. You're talking about. Yep.
I love those ones.
Yeah. So, and this has got a stop tail too. Does yours have wraparound or just stop?
Stop.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But
so-
mine came with the P100s, which are garbage, so I swapped them out for Brandon Wound P90s.
Yeah.
Which are awesome.
Yeah, I've got something else with 90s already, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted the humbuckers. But yeah, so some issues we got to take care of. And anytime I buy anything used, I plan on having to put
Like what kind of
100
issues? I mean, that's a pretty simple guitar.
Well, okay, so the headstocks on those, they started gluing on the veneer edges on the headstock, so it's not all one piece. It's one big piece. There's two tiny little pieces.
Yeah.
On the treble side, it's not just finish crack. It's actually cracked. That veneer is separating from the
Chase can fix that
That's
for you, dude.
not a big deal.
I know several guys that can fix it.
Yeah.
But and I was like, is this a big deal or no big deal? And I had somebody look at it and they said, no big deal. We take off the keys. We leach super glue in there. You'll never see it.
Well, you could put a couple of drywall screws through the side. It
Yeah,
works
that's what I
perfect.
was going to do. But he stopped me. He said, whoa, hold on. We can do a better job. So there's that. And like I was going to say, anytime I buy one of these guitars, I just assume it's going to need a nut, need a setup, fret, possibly level, dress, something like that. It needs all of that.
Yeah, this is still a killer deal, man.
Yeah. So that
What you saved on that, that's
Exactly.
going to cover at least a lot of that.
Exactly, and it's realistically once it's done, fair market value is maybe 12. So I'll be fine. I'm not going to lose anything.
No.
But I would have liked it if it didn't have a crack in the headstock.
Sure.
And it's got a bunch of dings on the face, like tiny little dings. Looks like somebody was taking a drumstick and like playing on it.
Could have been.
It's bizarre. I mean, there's got to be 50 of these all over the face of it.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that
That's
was disappointing too, because that
crazy.
didn't show in the pictures. But
Yeah.
so, anyways, but it's pale and blue and it's special, and
Are you going to do any kind of custom pick art on it? I'm assuming that's a black guard.
it's got a black guard, and that's another thing. The black guard on it is matte, and I mean like matte.
Never.
Well, I don't think it came that way. I think somebody took some sandpapers because all the pickup rings are gloss. The jack plate is gloss.
Is it 5-ply?
No, single ply. And I do think the original was single ply, but it looks like somebody.
Oh.
Actually, I might just take it off.
Hey, I know a
Yeah,
guy.
that looks
I know
cool.
a guy.
Yeah. Yeah, do you?
Yeah.
I'll have to get his phone number from him.
Yeah, I'll give you his phone
Okay,
number.
yeah.
Yeah, the big pearl stuff would look kind of cool on that.
Yeah, no.
No, that's not Mr. Conservative
No.
over here.
Big pearl on a Pelham blue special.
Why not?
Because it's ugly.
I do have this blue and silver swirly stuff.
No, that stuff's terrible.
If I was to do
That's a
anything, I'd
Tony
just do
guitar.
a 3-ply black, white, black,
5-ply.
5-ply? Is that what they do on those?
Back on the 50s, it was
Oh,
5-ply.
well, there you go. That's what
Yeah.
I would probably do. Then.
Alex, do you like colored guitars in the sense of like non-neutral colors?
If you're asking if I like Pelham blue, I want Pelham blue on everything.
Okay,
That's a
just
great
checking.
color.
I agree.
That one in
That's a great one.
Inverness green. Those
Oh yeah.
are, yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah.
You kind of lost me on the green, but anyways.
Have you seen Inverness green?
Yeah,
It's like a very, 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 very aged Pelham blue.
yeah, no, I know what it is. Just put a screen in my head. So,
Okay.
alrighty. Well,
Oh, Todd,
Tony,
how about
since
you?
you asked, you brought this up last week, but I was
Yes.
really excited because I've been monitoring the 89 series. Just not the 89 series, but the 9 series. Ibanez and Maxon pedals. And I have a Japanese flanger from I think 81, and so I got this one, and this is the 89, which is the delay, and it's from 83.
This couldn't have been cheap.
It actually was.
Did you just get lucky and score? Or
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like they're not worth a lot, right? I mean, they go for a
they're-
pretty.
Yeah, usually they're
Right. Okay.
I just,
Wow.
I felt
clean,
pretty
too,
good about
dude.
I actually we were podcasting here, and I just was like, doot, 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 and I looked
Still
up.
got the label on the back.
Yeah,
And it's made in Japan.
yeah, and it verified. I checked on Analog Man because apparently he's like the only person that can actually date these crazy things because they were sporadic,
haphazard.
and it said if it has a CE, it's basically the numbers alone don't tell you what year it's from. The trick is you got to check if it's a silver label. Then if it has a CE, then it's I think 90s up, and this is serial number 2, I think, but it has no CE on it, and the CE is the I can't remember what that stands for.
Yeah, the Euro certification.
Euro certification for electronics. Sounds really cool, and I was like, hey, hooray for me! And it's in really good condition.
And you like it?
It sounds fantastic.
You like the kind of analog, I don't want to say grip, but like lower fi thing it does.
I do, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was looking for like an always on stage presence, just to give a little bit of lift. I like my signal relatively dry because I like punch and cut, but I just wanted it to have a little bit of
So it's not a sterile.
dynamic. Yeah, so it's not a sterile, exactly. But I didn't want a big reverb, and this does that perfectly. And
That's why I rarely use reverb on stage.
I love
Just
it.
washes everything.
So the neat thing I'm going to try to do is, one of the settings on the HX Stump is basically this pedal, but I've never really been able to get that dialed the way I want. So
Yeah.
I'm dialing it in here and then trying to get that as close as I can. If I can't get it as close as I can, then I'll use this on my gig board.
No, dude, put that on your gig board. Because, I mean, the HX Stomp may get similar and everything, but that's going to have
Well, I
certain
use that to
characteristics.
punch in different effects
Right.
for like the different songs and stuff. So otherwise, I'd have a
Especially
gonzo
if you're
huge
going to have
board.
it pretty much on all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so what do those usually go for? Roughly.
Roughly, I
They're
think about
looking-
3.
yeah,
like
2 to 3.
Two,
Okay. That's what
2
I
and
thought.
change to 3.
To 3-ish.
And depending if it's like ultra banged up and it's like, this was the first one in 1980, then
Yeah,
it's
well.
like,
Right.
expensive. Alex, you probably know better than all of us.
I'm not super versed in this. This actually sounds like something that your last guest would have actually been better on, Zach. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like he's really into this stuff. Like, there's some things that I, especially in the pedal world, where I've got like this affinity for knowing, like, oh, well, if you see this, that's actually an older one before they did it and they changed to this. I feel like I have a little bit of a gap in a lot of like the like Maxon, Ibanez, Boss world. Like, I'm familiar with most of it, but you're talking like the really nerdy like specs, like reading serial numbers and stuff like that. I'm definitely no Analog Man on that.
Right. Well, there you go. So here we are. We've got, if you just go on and look, they're usually starting at about, if it's an older one, I'd say pre-90, you're looking at like $225 to $300. And then if it's later than that, I'm guessing this, this is like, a lot of these people they're saying, oh, it could be this age, it could be that age. Unless they show the back and you see the label, if you do buy one of these, and pretty much any of the 89 series, and go to Analog Man, you can get a very good understanding of what age your pedal actually is. But the most important thing is, we see one, there's an 89, and it's a black label with CE on the back, a big giant CE, and that's later. So, anyways, if you can find one that's non-CE, that's you're in the older realm. Now, maybe that doesn't matter to you, maybe it does, but there you go. Now you know.
Cool. On today's Ibanez Pedal
Bada-bit-bop
podcast.
bow.
Chips is chips.
No, not necessarily.
Oh, dear God.
That's the other thing I learned. Because originally I was looking for a Maxon one, but there's a reason the Maxon ones are actually like $100 more. And it's because please don't throw rocks at me, everybody that actually is like, mega nerds about that, or crash the car because I say this wrong. But from what I understood, it had something to do with the Panasonic chip in it. And then that's as far as I went, because I was like, well, I don't have a Maxon, so anyways, I'm going to
Good enough. Yep.
just go with what I have.
I will say, just at least on that topic, there are instances where like a generation of a chip could have an issue with a circuit. Like, and we're just talking like if there's a suffix after it, there could be an issue with it, like design wise or like generationally speaking. But then there's also on the opposite spectrum, what you were saying, Todd, before about like almost like, not to say it doesn't matter and whatnot. I still also subscribe to like the way stuff's put together is ultimately more important than just the individual parts.
Yeah.
But there is definitely both roads where you could hear a sonic difference. Or again, when we did Telegraph V2, not getting too far into it, like there's a specific timer chip in there, and if we didn't source it from a certain company, it wouldn't work in the design.
Interesting.
And it was the same numbers all the way until you get to the suffix, which is usually 4 letters. And a lot of times it's describing its generation. And then a lot of times it's like the heat coefficient and stuff like that, that a lot of times might not matter unless it's like, oh, yeah, well, we're playing in Antarctica and on the sun. So I do need, a higher temperature thing here. But I will say sometimes it can be either one, that it could be everything, or it could literally just be like, that resistor in the feedback loop actually has more to do than the part itself.
Yeah.
So
I totally can understand that. And, it's so funny because the Ibanez and the Maxon pedals, if you look at them and you took the label off, you're like, there's no difference. It's honestly, it is oddly exactly like Chevy and GMC in many ways, where, they're almost the exact same thing going on truck wise and all that stuff. Please, if you're a truck freak, please don't throw rocks at me. But
You can send your
back in
hate
the
mail,
day,
too.
you'd go like, "What is that?" It's either a GMC or a Chevy. Who knows? If you couldn't see it from anyways.
Is there a queue to get into to throw the rocks at Todd? I'm still interested in the rock throwing.
Yeah.
Forward,
We'll send that to you.
Yes.
Anyways, so that's really fun. Cool. Yeah, the only thing I gotta do is navigate the dumb rubber shenanigans on the back.
There is somebody I just saw. I think it's Thomann in Europe. They are now selling replacement bottoms for those that don't have rubber. So they'll screw right on in place of it, and you can put that off to the side so it doesn't get ruined. And I think it actually has either a Velcro or a dual lock already on the bottom.
That's worth checking out. I found on a podcast a while ago when I got the flanger, there's actually somebody who said, I made a template that you can print out a piece of paper, and basically you cut the template out and you duct tape the paper, and then you put it on there, and then you put the Velcro on the duct tape, and it works. And I did that, and I'm like, yeah, this actually works.
There you go.
It's, I'm sure a total replacement would be more solid, but for free?
Well, you definitely don't want to ruin that.
No.
The
No,
sticker.
I'm not going to do that. Anyways.
Yeah, put some Velcro right over that.
Right over the sticker. First time.
Yeah.
Pulled off. Well, there we go.
Well, anyways, let's get on to the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we do want to do one single big shout out to our friends at Tour Gear. We're talking about pedals today, and there's nothing finer than a day in Carolina in the morning.
With a Tour Gear design patch cable.
Yes. So your Tour Gear design patch cables of your choice of length and choice of shape are going to stitch together very neatly.
And they're all flat as a crepe, I tell you.
Yes, your pedal board will thank you. And so will your wallet, actually.
Oh, yes.
So get yourself over to Tour Gear Designs and get those patch cables. And when you do, go to the cart, put in the coupon area.
The guitar knobs, all lowercase, all one word.
And you're going to save 10%. All right, everybody. Thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor.
Hold on, Todd. No,
yes?
We're not. 4 on the Floor, it's a fan favorite. People love it.
Yeah, you're correct. That's why we're about to do it.
They're playing. No. We're not. No, not today.
What?
We're changing it up today, Todd. It's a brand new episode. It's a different style segment. We're gonna do 4 on the bench.
Judges allow it. Judges allow it.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear what's 4 on the bench.
Anything to disturb Todd, I vote for.
What is 4 on the bench, Alex?
Well, I'd preface it with no, it's 8 on a plate. That's a Tony throwback.
Yes, it is.
So 4 on the bench is a segment that we like to play here for the first time ever.
Okay.
They love playing it.
Yes.
For the first time
It's
ever.
the best. Can't get enough of it.
What we're going to do is we're going to go into the spirit of 4 on the floor, where you get to choose 4 guitar pedals that you'd want to have with you for an event. And we're going to change it up. We're going to flip the script a little bit. And since we're doing a DIY episode, more akin to like soldering and actually the building of these tools,
Yes.
we're going to do 4 on the bench. And I'm going to pick 4 of my favorite tools that I would see on my bench.
I love it. This is genius. Glad I thought of it. Okay. All right. Anyways, go ahead.
All right. So my number one for 4 on the bench is going to be an obvious one. It's the trusty soldering iron. So in our shop, we have been a Weller kind of shop. And I would say this might be a good analogy. In the soldering iron world, Weller and Hacko are kind of like the Fender Gibson type of thing. Like a lot of times, like for our world, for, everyday use, because both companies make like, oh, I solder once a month, all the way up to like I'm a full-time person. So we've been using Wellers. They discontinued the traditional one that everybody was loving. If you probably saw a Weller, you probably saw like a WESD 51, I think it is. But anyway, the new version is the WE 1010. I love it. It's got the
Digital readout.
Yep, exactly. You can you set your temperature. It'll shut off or shut down automatically after a certain amount of time. The only thing I do to mod my number one on the 4 on the bench is, instead of the satellite where it has like, the flat as a crepe sponge that you have to water.
Yeah.
Instead, I get the satellite that has the small hole in it for the brass or copper sponge.
Yeah.
And in our shop, we run copper sponges because we have to be on brand. It's a corporate thing.
I understand that. I personally like those better than the sponges too, myself.
And why do you prefer the Weller over a Hacko?
Well, let me tell you something, Tony.
That sounded really threatening.
Yeah.
Yikes!
Let me tell you, Tony.
I'm a bit scarred.
I've never played a Hacko.
Really?
That's it. Yeah, I just haven't. For some reason, I don't know why I got into the Weller out of the gate. It might have just been a brand recognition thing that I had seen more often, and it was like, oh, I'm doing this thing. Let's check it out. Or could have been a price thing, but I had been around it more, if that makes sense.
It's a steal for $115, man.
Yeah, a decent soldering iron doesn't cost that much. I mean,
and every time I install a new one or I make a new bench at our shop, I go, they needed a soldering iron to put the first soldering iron together, didn't they? Or did they? What did they?
Matches.
Which came first, the soldering iron or the kit to build the soldering iron?
I'm gonna guess they tied all the parts together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number one.
Okay.
Nice.
Hold on.
Hey, we
Question
got to
on
hear
this.
from Rob, the other professional soldering person.
No, it's fine. I still have a couple of the 51s. That's still what I'm using.
Good.
Did they get rid of the stupid multi-pin connection for the soldering iron itself to the base unit?
I want to say the pin unit that goes to the satellite, like to the pen itself, is still something similar to like a 5-pin DIN.
Man, that is the weakness. Both of mine on the bench, I've replaced the connector on the base unit on each one once, and they're both going bad again.
I've never had that actually happen.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll consider myself fortunate there.
There you go.
Well, Rob is really rough on equipment.
I am pretty rough on that. Oh, which, by the way, talking about soldering irons, you ever check out JBC?
I have not. No, I have to.
Check that out. It's going to ruin you.
That's the Wendy's Junior Bacon Cheeseburger? Is that
Yep,
right?
same thing. It looks like a hamburger. Yeah.
Awesome,
No,
yeah.
check it out, dude. Their soldering irons are insane. I'm saving my pennies for one of those.
Well,
next.
how much is that, Rob?
The one I want, I think it's like $1,500.
What?
Why? What?
It's insane. Well,
Why do you need that?
it's one of these that when you pick it up, it's automatic in standby mode when you put it down. So the tip lasts 20 times longer, and when you pick it up, and then
My hot air gun is like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the temperature what I don't know what you call it, but the auto keep it at that temperature so it doesn't go down and dip up. It's within 1 degree. It's insane.
So does it ruin? Does the heat ruin the entire pen, or just
The tip. It'll oxidize.
You
it.
can buy a ton of tips for $1,400.
Yeah, weirdly enough, heat is the enemy.
Yeah. So it's I mean it's kind of what's considered like quote professional or whatever. Not well, obviously because that's what I've been used to. So it's professional.
So
but
you've never had the entire pen go down? Just
I myself know.
What?
And
you never had the pen ruined? Just
I'm not gonna say it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so
Anyways, okay.
We got the Weller. All right, number two.
Number 2, I'm gonna go with it is the PCSA2. It's a Swiss company. They make PCB jigs. It's essentially a place for you to have a rail system.
Oh yeah,
you guys could probably look it up. The PCSA2. They make a 1, 2, and a 3, I believe, and it's essentially like a rail system where you can snap your PCBs in, populate everything from the top, solder from the top if it's a top solder style, or if it's a bottom style like a cap or something where the leads are hidden. You can flip it over. It'll do like a roller coaster corkscrew thing, and just now all of a sudden the leads are facing towards you, and it has a cover. You can screw the cover down. That way all the components stay snug. After you solder it down, if you want to clip the leads, you flip it back over to the top, you take the lid off, you're ready to do the next step of your assembly process.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's really, really cool. I remember when when I had big dreams when we were doing the Fez, I'm like, man, this is taking forever. And I saw this, and I was like, oh, that would make things really easy. And then you couldn't get them anywhere. They were gone. And
Not available.
They started getting expensive too. Ideal Tech is the company.
Yes.
Ideal Tech. We have 4 of them in the shop, and they're just so good.
Yeah. But you have to go to Diverse Electronics to get the Ideal Tech, from what I...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's. Yep,
Anyway.
it's really good. I would suggest to anybody that's making batches of more than 20 at a time of anything that it's not an obscure shaped PCB. You can fit most things. You can even take the middle bar out. We do it for triple graph daughter boards where the board itself at its max length is like 7 inches or so. They're very like customizable too if you need. So Ideal Tech PCSA series.
All right.
2.
Nice.
Number 3.
Number 3 is for the old man in me. It's the glasses that go around, like the headband glasses, where you poke them down like a welder.
Yep.
I like to call them my cheaters. I pretty much don't solder without those, just because I don't generally have great vision. I wear contact lenses as is, but it just helps me feel like I have fresh eyes, so I'm not really missing anything, and I don't want to strain to see and get like a headache or anything like that. So even just a pair of they're like $20. They come with like batteries, and you can turn on the light if you need to. I throw those, literally sit on top of my station when I'm making cables, when I'm soldering boards, when I'm making prototypes.
You're trying to figure out a tip at the restaurant?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What? Don't you when your eyes go bad, you see all the old guys at the restaurant like going, oh, what's that? I can't see the thing. And it's dark and all that. Anyways, shut up.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Number 4.
All right, number 4 is a self-shill. It's going to be the solder dispensers that we make at Coppersound DIY.
Aha.
So listeners, when we get into this episode, we can talk more about it. But essentially, I created a solder dispenser tool made out of guitar and pedal enclosure and hardware that's similar to stuff that we use on the triple graph, and a spring that's holding up the wire, because all of our stations we carry 16-ounce spools, and I just made these as gifts for everybody, and they became a product for DIY. So that would be my number 4, is just a good solder dispenser.
Very cool. And it is nice because you have it on a solid mount. A lot of those come on like plastic types of things.
Yeah, this is in a pedal enclosure, so it's die-cast aluminum. Then what I actually do, and I tell people that get the solder dispenser as a trick, I open up the inside, because it's a build. There's a guide there, and you build the solder dispenser. On the inside, I bag up spare scrap hardware, and I put it on the inside as a weight. So that it's less likely to move, because we keep our stuff above the bench. So you're kind of like pulling down, kind of like an air compressor for like a machine guy, or a shop guy. So that's my 4 on the bench.
Or if you have a bunch of human teeth laying around, you can put that in there.
Not heavy enough.
Oh,
no, not heavy enough at all.
Rob's tried that.
Yeah,
it's scary.
Still moves too easily.
Yeah, there is still the petition going around to throw the rocks at you, Todd. So it's
yeah, and you know what? That's $30. That is a solid investment right there. I like it.
Yeah, we can talk more about it when we get into the DIY. That's my 4 on the bench. Happy to keep the segment going and started.
I love it. Thank you so much. That was really cool. And Alex thought of that, just to clarify. I also, before we get into the other thing, I just need to call out something real quick, if you don't mind.
I kind of mind.
You kind of mind? Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm getting my rocks ready.
Okay.
I don't think we actually get a vote, though, Tony.
No. Yeah.
I think it was more of a polite thing you just did.
Yeah.
There.
So, anyways, from our last podcast, there was a point in which I just kind of got excited and started telling the story, and then I became very self-conscious because Tony was giving me the business, and I thought, maybe I should take this out. And he's like, no, it's fine. Well. Guess who chimes in, coming out of nowhere? And Rob says, in our text string, we have a fantastic text string. He says, "Poor Miguel, 30 minutes into the podcast, and he's only said a few dozen words to Todd's hundreds. Ha ha." And I waited to respond to that. I was like, "You." So then I just put "ugh," which was followed promptly by Tony saying, "That's why it's called a Toddcast." To which point I sent the little Giphy that shows Anchorman kind of throwing up his hands and I'm like, "Yeah, so what?" I said, "I knew it was too long-winded." Tony said it wasn't. What can I say? I enjoyed the subject we were discussing. Then our friend John Findle, who runs the studio that we're at, comes in with an absolute doozy. And he says, "Were you on Tony's knee when he told you that you were okay and did a good job?" And I honestly doubled over. I was laughing so hard. And I said, "Okay, you bastard." That made me laugh pretty hard. And then Tony said he sent the Stuart Smalley gif. "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me."
Gosh darn it.
To which I promptly responded with another Anchorman. He says, "I'm not even mad. That's amazing." It was great fun. So
yes.
Okay, so
thank goodness for texts.
Yeah, I said a few extra words, so sue me. But
I thought it was humorous because I'm on the bench and I'm listening, but I'm not like actively like hanging on you. It's going while I'm doing stuff.
We're just noise.
Well, no, entertaining noise. Mm-hmm. But after like 10 minutes, I'm like, what's been going on for me? And then finally, I'm like, wait a minute, did I black out? And I look down, and it's almost a 30-minute mark.
Was your fume fan going? Or
yeah, I was like, what the? And I'm like, oh my god, literally, it's like Todd.
All right.
So that's why I sent it.
I try to monitor that, but sometimes I get excited.
And during it, you're like, is this too much? Oh, I should cut this out and all that. And I was like, so you're aware.
Yeah, it was fun. It was all in good fun.
That's because I was giving.
But we're not going to do that today. We want to hear from Alex.
Yes.
So everybody else be quiet. We are diving into big giant thunder. Pedal building kit. What do you want to call this, Alex?
Oh man, this is just anything pedal DIY related.
Really long
DIY.
title.
Yeah, DIY is, we're going by Coppersound DIY. We had a long meeting about this, and we just went back and forth. But DIY is such a relatable, understandable thing. And I think it transcends.
Got it.
Wow,
ladies and gentlemen, we're about to dive into the Coppersound 101 DIY pedal building stuff. Alex, first we need to know, okay, what prompts a pedal builder to create an entire system of DIY equipment for pedal building?
So pretty much I would venture to guess most people in our world, unless you're doing strictly digital stuff and probably working in development board systems and, all computer-based stuff, we're just taking analog parts and we're putting them together in a breadboard. The breadboard is really the hub of everything, and I'll get into that, kind of what it is and how everything is kind of based around what that is. But we found ourselves, since I've been doing this for like the last 9 years, we're always breadboarding stuff. So if you are familiar pretty much with any of our products, you might be familiar with like our telegraph stutter or maybe Foxcatcher, or the triple graph octave that we do with Third Man. Like pretty much all of those pedals are going to go through some type of, prototyping, alpha and beta testing. But before it gets there, before it even gets to a schematic, before it gets to a circuit board layout through a CAD software, we're going to breadboard it. And we need tools to do that. So this is kind of where it spawned from, where over the last 9 years, we were like schlubbing along, just wading through whatever we had to essentially, it's a very bootstrap thing, if we wanted to work on something like our Foxcatcher overdrive pedal that we released in 2016, we had to breadboard it, but it wasn't easy. And it's oftentimes if somebody was like, hey, do you want to start doing blah, blah, blah? I'd be like, yeah, I got to get a breadboard made. I'll see you in 2 hours. Because a lot of times I'll find a breadboard, which we'll go into, which is essentially like strips of solderless metal connecting either vertically or horizontally, power and audio rails. I would get that breadboard from somewhere at various sizes. Then I would have to get audio to it. So to do that, I would get like an old beat up like enclosure. I would drill some holes in it for some audio so we could plug in a regular guitar cable and then we can go to our amplifier. And I would have to put a couple jacks onto this box. Okay, cool. I can go in and out, but now I got to get to the breadboard. Okay, so I guess I'll solder wire to those audio jacks, then get it to the breadboard. How am I going to do that? Okay, I put a hole in the enclosure. Okay, now this hole feeds through. Okay, cool. I can get my audio there. Oh, crap. This stuff requires power. Okay, put another hole in there. Here's a DC jack. Cool. This is stuff we got laying around. Oh, those also have to get to the to the breadboard. Okay, here's some black wire. Here's some red wire. Cut it, solder it to the thing, get it out to there. Awesome. Now we got power. We got audio. Oh, crap. On a guitar pedal, we're able to turn it on and off so we can hear the before effect and after effect. I got to wire up a switch now and have it with a basic true bypass wiring diagram, go to my in and out jacks, snake through a small little hole, have the wires essentially being an antenna. So any hands that go around it start doing that type of thing, right, depending on the circuit. Get it to the breadboard. Okay, well, wait. The breadboard is just this white piece of plastic with metal in it. I have this box to turn my effect on, and I got audio. That's cool. But, like, what am I just going to put them on the bench? I'd go find a piece of wood, cut that wood down, put some feet on it. Then I'd screw the breadboard into the wood, screw that enclosure that had my guts and everything. Then I'm ready to go. Now it's 2 hours later. Now I can actually start working on something. Wow. And I had to do that for like 6 years.
Wow.
And I got faster at the process as you normally would. And generally I would use like scrap stuff like, oh, this switch was kind of bunk. I'm not going to put into a pedal. That's fine enough for just testing out a pedal, because, oh, it's being a little fickle. That's fine. It doesn't matter right now. It's not going to a consumer.
Yeah.
So I'd have to do that constantly. So making like a workable breadboard was a 2-hour process, and I didn't even touch a component to start working on it. Also, I forgot to mention an LED status light. You'll know generally when it's on, but that's another thing I want to do to know like everything is interacting like a guitar pedal would. So that process, I had done for so long, and I was just kind of sick of it. And we were getting ready to do DIY, or I had some ideas for DIY. Lockdown had started, and I was on an old computer at the place I was living, and I was like, I'm going to just like crap out a ton of circuits, just like work on some ideas that I've been having, and just when stuff gets back to how it was or how it is, I want to have like a ton of, I want to essentially come out of that door and like, oh, I got a ton of stuff. I wasn't just kind of hanging around.
Yeah.
And DIY was one of those things where I had a ton of ideas. We had also been using some local parts from one of our local like suppliers. We're using substitution boxes, which we can get into, which is just essentially a series of multiple components so that you can try to breadboard stuff on the fly. So anyway, it was summer of last year. Yeah, so about a year ago to today, we were working on these things. I had sub boxes ready, and I had a couple other things, and we were getting ready to kind of brand everything and launch it because I was like, I'm done doing this. I've paid my dues. A lot of us have paid our dues. A lot of us have figured out a system that works, and that's great. But I was like, there's got to be a better way, and maybe people can get into it, and it's not such a ticket to ride thing. Yeah. And I came up with the idea to have essentially an integrated breadboard. So I had sent to you guys some of our breadboard sizes. So essentially, our breadboard is fully integrated, where it's still it allows the user to still have somewhat of a customizability to itself, but it's essentially at face value, it's all the things guitar players want and need out of testing out a new design that they're trying to be creative and artistic with.
Right.
And our breadboards come with an input and an output jack, a regular standard 9 volt, 2.1 by 5.5 millimeter barrel, a toggle switch.
It's like a pedal with no guts.
Essentially, and you make the guts on the breadboard. It's all fully integrated, and there's ways for you through headers to hook wire up to it easily.
Alex, who are these kits for?
So these, they're for us because we use them literally day in and day out. And I don't have to make breadboards ever again, which is nice. Mm-hmm. These are for people kind of getting into it. What I've noticed in our DIY world with pedals, a lot of friends in the community there are companies that make PCBs. There are pedal companies that have open source for their PCBs. Our pal and friend of the show, John Snyder, he does some open source PCB stuff where you can buy it, put it into an enclosure. Or you can go on Pedal PCB or General Guitar Gadgets, and you can go on all these websites of, I'd love to make a fuzz face. Here's the PCB, here's the parts, here's the enclosure. That's cool. But that didn't actually teach you about the thing so much, and it didn't allow you to mod and customize it. So this is really for the person that's interested in getting into guitar pedals, and the entry level for breadboarding is, as I had mentioned, how long it takes to get one going. It's a bit of we're in the golden era of guitar pedals, but it's still the Wild West, I think, when it comes to the development side of things. And one of the very first things I created, and I can't remember if I sent you guys some, are these toggle switch adapters. So if anybody's played a guitar pedal, there's usually foot switches, LEDs, knobs, and toggles. Those are usually the most common things. Mm-hmm. And I've illustrated and outlined it in our press releases and our media and all that stuff. Toggle switches, the stuff that we love to click for different sounds, whether it's compression or it's clipping style or whatever it is. Those are almost universal. I'm going to say almost because there's exceptions here. But a regular standard toggle switch, if you're touching somebody like 10 different ones, different companies, there's a good chance they're all the same. Mm-hmm. Whether the functionality is a little bit different or the manufacturer or small things, they're pretty similar. Mm-hmm. Breadboards are pretty universal, just like the toggle switches I was mentioning. So the downside is those breadboards that are universal and those toggle switches I was mentioning that are universal, they don't mate. They don't coexist together very well. And myself and probably others in the community have probably found themselves taking wire, soldering them to the lugs, plugging them into the breadboard, and having this weird like Jenga leaning tower thing going on, trying to have my toggle switch work with the breadboard. And I was just kind of sick of that. So I just made a small PCB with pin headers, and the toggle switch can mate to it, and then you can plug it in anywhere you want on the PCB as long as it's kind of within the channels. And again, we'll talk more about the breadboard. So I'm just trying to make stuff here that would be much more accessible for somebody getting into it. Stuff that I was like, if I were starting and I had this, it would have been so much easier, because we want you to do the creative process, and we're going to take away some of the headache.
Well, and before we get into all the particulars, I think one of the big things that I don't want to say you're leaving out, but at least for me, who as I was mentioning kind of before the show, I was so excited about this because understanding the pathways for circuits has always been a little bit tricky for me. And this is just, honestly, it's like opening up a whole new world of possibilities for me to better understand it and to do it in a way that I don't completely muck it up. And one of there's two key things that are going to help besides from the hardware. The hardware is fantastic, and it is built. It's Coppersound, so you know it is going to be built extremely well. But just the document, the DIY circuit pack document that runs through, here's how you do all of this stuff, is gold. It's absolute gold, accompanied by a series of YouTube videos that you did that are very, very self-explanatory. You don't go over people's heads. It's basically just watch this and you understand how to do it.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear that you say that translated, because when we were building those DIY guides for what we call circuit, a little tongue-in-cheek there, but it's a kit where you can make a circuit on a breadboard. When we were doing those videos and we were doing the build guides for those, the idea was to stay in this lane of tell them what it's doing, but not go too far on the why.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure it was like, oh, this thing will do this. We don't want to get into the physics and the sciences and all of that stuff, because
let John Schneider do that stuff.
Exactly.
Drink.
You can read up on those resources, and there's a good chance you will learn it if you're really into it. But we want to just know like what it's doing in a quick why, like what it's doing. Like this here will do this. We don't have to get into all the other stuff because that's something for you to do later on. We want to encourage you as like a beginning builder to do that stuff.
It's so easy to follow along, and I don't say this to diminish your effort, but imagine like if IKEA put together a kit but did it like way better. That's what I'll qualify that. We know you know the average person can put together an entire kitchen set with some simple directions, but if they were just looking at the box of parts, they'd be like, I don't know what to do. Now I'm defeated. And it's the same exact principle.
Yeah, we tried to like. It was tough for me, but luckily Jordan doesn't build these. He just does the media stuff, so he doesn't know what this stuff does. So when he's making renderings or giving information, he's asking like, what does it do? And then, that was a red flag of like, we didn't explain this properly because we're so close to it. We understand what it does.
Right.
So we have to explain that stuff better. So when we were getting ready to do it, actually a precursor to the circuits with the DIY bundle guides and everything, we got invited to go to WPI, which is a Polytech Institute here in Worcester, Massachusetts. They asked us to actually host a breadboarding class because they have an entire guitar pedal section of their university, which is, I don't know anybody else doing that, which is really cool, at least locally. So we were invited to do that, and we essentially had to make like a lesson plan. So that was the precursor to doing the circuit bundles that you're talking about, Todd, where what we did was, well, how do we make this foolproof? Well, let's break it up into 3 sections is what we found was the best. Mm-hmm. We have, other than a name of the section and a brief overview of what you're going to be doing, like, oh, this is the power filtering section. What we did was we broke it up into 3 main sections. Parts used, like you would see in like building a chair or something like that, like you said from IKEA, Todd.
Yeah.
Parts used, then the schematic drawing that I would draw up of what you're doing. And then the last one was actually just a high-res, like a DSLR camera, a picture overhead of me actually putting the components into the breadboard.
Right.
So that you could see all 3 things and kind of realize, oh, these are the parts. Oh, I see those. It matches up to the drawing. That's the schematic. I'm not really sure what that means. Oh, but they showed me where they're actually putting it in the thing. So now, ideally, going back to the schematic, that makes at least a little more sense each time you see it.
Right.
So that was the idea there, is to like really make it foolproof.
Killer. That's a great explanation of this. We're going to go through the boxes that we have on here. If we want to start there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So
let's talk about it.
So the first one is just the basic mini breadboard, I guess, package.
Yeah. Now, on the top of it, it says mini, small, medium, large, and
Deluxe.
deluxe. Maybe you could walk through. You kind of already talked about the mini board, but explain why someone would need these different sizes.
So there are different sizes of breadboards. There's generally like two sizes of them. There's that mini size that you're talking about, Tony, and then there's the standard size, which is the small. Now, what we do is, and you'll see a lot of breadboard companies, it's just multiple of them put together to make more rails, more audio, more stuff like that. So really the idea was with the mini, small, all the way up to deluxe, was it offers a different playground size for what you're doing. So if you're going to make if you're getting into this, a lot of people really love to buy our mini breadboard because it's tiny. It looks very attainable and oh, that's not too complicated. I could do that. And you could easily do a simple transistor boost network or something like that. And it barely takes up any space. It doesn't feel like you're wasting it either. And going up from there is our small, which is essentially one row of audio. Our medium is 2. Our large is 3. And then the deluxe is still 3 rows of audio with power rails, but it also has stereo in and out, plus an area for expression. So if you're the type of person that's going to make a 2-knob pedal, the small one's probably going to be good for you. If you're going to make let's say a 3-knob chorus or a delay pedal, you might want to get the medium or the large one. If you're going to do something that's got expression to it, or you're going to kind of get fancy, you've probably learned a lot more since getting into this, or you're existing pedal builder, which we have a lot of those that are oh, I've already existed, I've been doing this, but this is going to make my life easier. They'll get the large or the deluxe one. And that's kind of just giving the different tiers. Yeah. I mean, if you're a bachelor by yourself, you could get a coupe. If you've got a whole family, you might want to get a minivan.
There you go.
Nice.
And the cool part about this is the mini starts at $29, and it looks like the deluxe goes all the way to $99. I mean, $29 for an entry level to get started without any hassle at all. That's a killer deal.
It's also pre-assembled as well. So we assembled these. So there's a couple of our tools that the person builds it because that's the why in DIY. You get to do it.
Yeah.
But a lot of these we wanted to still take the headache of wait, I'm gonna adhere a breadboard and then make we don't want it to be a project.
Yeah.
There are some things that are easy, but the breadboard comes fully assembled. And one of the missions of DIY was, okay, if this is entry level, to get people excited and encouraged and let them be creative, but not have to worry about all the hassles that come with setup and building, we wanted to make it affordable. So a breadboard that starts at $29, we thought that was very enticing and very encouraging to people to want to try. Like you said, $29. You and your spouse can go to Burger King and it costs that much,
Yeah.
Yep.
So we wanted that to be part of its mission, was being affordable. But that also meant us being really smart when it comes to a design standpoint, a sourcing standpoint. We couldn't put $20 worth of components on that and sell it for $29.
No.
I had to get really creative and sourcing and all that stuff. And again, most of these things don't cost a lot of money. It's how they're put together is what you're paying for.
Yeah.
And so the next step, somebody buys one of these, the mini or deluxe, whatever, they need to get parts for it, right?
Absolutely, Tony. I like the way that you think.
And I'm thinking that you probably sell parts kits.
You are thinking absolutely right. That is a newer offering that we had just dropped about a month ago called Circuit, CIR-KIT. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheeky, a little bit fun, but that's kind of what this whole thing is about. It's about fun and learning at the same time, and it being encouraging for people. So what we did was, like I had mentioned previously, if you want to go to an online supplier and say, I want to build a tube screamer. Cool, here's the parts, here's the PCB, and the enclosure's already drilled. That's cool, you get the experience. But what we wanted to do was offer something that we've never seen before, which is a kit bundle, meaning all the parts included, and a wiring diagram and schematic to follow along step by step on how to actually put the correct component in the correct spot to get everything to be wired up correctly. And when you fire that breadboard on, ideally hear the sound and then hear how you're actually going to engage with it. Like Todd said, it's a pedal with like no guts in it.
Yeah. And then from there, let's say, so you got one kit, the one in front of us is a silicon fuzz. So I'm assuming that's like a 2-knob fuzz.
Yeah, so that's going to be in your Tone Bender MK 1.5 or fuzz face type of derivatives where, it's a 2-transistor fuzz that's pretty mean. You can also roll it back with your input volume because it's a very good building block for people. So we wanted to offer stuff that's very recognizable and relatable. Like, we're not going to come out of the gate with like an analog delay, because if you're looking to make an analog delay, there's a much better chance that you already know this type of stuff than, I'm going to make a treble booster.
Yeah,
I don't know anything there. And one of the nice things too, and going to back to actually the thing that started the whole DIY, technically, if you were to buy one of our kits, or you're going to put stuff together yourself with one of our breadboards, if you wanted to, or I should say what I used to do was I would be breadboarding something. Let's say I'm breadboarding an overdrive that's got like a tone network. And let's say I want to change the tone a little bit. What I would do is I would pull out the parts needed for it. I'd put them away. Or put them to the side. I'd go to one of my parts lockers. I'd grab the other parts needed. I'd make sure to get them in the right slots on the breadboard, and then I would try it out. By the time I did all that, I don't think I really remembered what the sound was, and therefore, substitution boxes, or also referred to as decade boxes, these are an invaluable tool for our type of world, where you're able to get one of our substitution boxes. We make 7 different types, and they have essentially male DuPont-style leads. You can plug these 2 leads into where the leads of, let's say, a resistor would be, the 2 legs of the resistor would be, and with the simple twist of a chicken head knob with multiple positions on it, you can get access to 24 different resistors on the fly of different values and hear instantly what the sound would be.
It's remarkable. I mean, that alone, like, even if you just did that, that is pretty revolutionary for pedal builders, and especially beginning pedal builders. And let's see, you got, for the substitution boxes, you've got resistor, film capacitor, diode, ceramic capacitor, electrolytic capacitors, transistors, and FET. So each one of those is going to help you. So for instance, if I was to start setting up the silicone fuzz and I was like, well, I'd like it to be maybe have more gain, or have more treble, or something like that. I could use one of these things to help me choose which component is going to get me to that sound without having to plug in every single component and retrying it. Did I hit the nail on the head there?
Absolutely. It'll allow you to, on the fly, change stuff and really see what is going to, and sometimes stuff gets affected down circuit as well, but a lot of times it's going to be really useful in like tone networks or gain networks. And back at, like, when I started this, there were L & Co. was my go-to company for breadboards on like a piece of metal, and for substitution boxes. They made theirs, the values or the tolerances weren't very good. They were way too high. Mm-hmm. It was fine though, because it gets you going and a good place to start. I thought I could improve upon it. I think we were successful at it. And from there, we actually, instead of just resistors and caps, which are a great place to start, Guitar World, what do we love? We love gain. We love clipping. We love distortion. So our best-selling sub box is actually our diode substitution box. And we've had people, I believe he said he was on the show, the gentleman from Stax Effects.
Oh, yeah. That was the last episode, Miguel Vasquez.
So Miguel is a big fan of our DIY stuff, and he said in the last overdrive pedal that they just released, they were extensively they were extensively using our diode selector box, and he said, I was using diodes I never thought of using, because on our diode sub box, you've, just like the other ones, you've got 2 leads to represent each side of the diode's body, representing its legs, and you have 24 sets of symmetrical diodes. So you can do, let's say, a rat circuit. Most people are familiar with rats. Instead of doing like the traditional clipping, whether it's silicon or germanium, or people like to mod for LED, you now have 24 things that you can try out and get an idea for the flavor without needing to find 2 of each thing, put them in the correct orientation, get them to ground, listen to it, play a little bit. Hey, how does that sound? Okay, take those 2 out, put them away, go get 2 more, put them in, grab your guitar again. You can on the fly try different diode types for 24 different ones.
Yeah.
And that's become our bestseller.
It's fantastic because honestly, I love the idea of learning how to place the components and better understanding the relation that they have and what they're doing. But I have mentioned many times, like whatever I get, I usually like to tweak. So this is essentially that way to go. Okay, cool. This is a quote silicon fuzz. How do I make it my silicon fuzz?
Exactly, and that's and the silicon fuzz that we offer is, like I said, fuzz face, and it's a tried and true one because it's low part count, but everything that you change makes, for the most part, a difference. And if you were to get this kit, which Tony had mentioned that we have kits which include a power supply, a small breadboard, and it includes the components of your choice. You can either get our overdrive, our MOSFET boost, or our fuzz, and you could be off to the races. Just need to supply the guitar, the cables, and the amplifier. I know that's where we get you. And you could grab a substitution box as well and say, oh, hey, like you were saying, Todd, I'm going to grab the silicon fuzz, but I want to try 12 different transistors for this.
Right, right.
Well, there's a box for it. You can kind of make it your own, and then from there, you're off to the races, and you can kind of just really on the fly really see what could be with all of these components. Also, if you have a breadboard, we don't want to discourage that either. We offer the components themselves. You can buy the silicon fuzz or the MOSFET boost just by itself, just the components, and it still has a QR code on it and brings you right to the build guides where you can follow along step by step. That's
another great point about what you've done, is that every single thing you've got here has a QR code so that you can better understand exactly what it needs to do, so you're not lost. And you've sort of like fail-safed this from a I give up standpoint.
Yeah, we tried to really field feedback from either dealers that are currently stocking our DIY stuff, people that are looking to stock it, and players and tinkerers and builders. I feel like we did a pretty good job thinking about a lot of the aspects, but it can be one of those things where you're so close to it, you get lost. Rob could probably relate to like just knowing some of the ins and outs now. It could be easy to forget to tell a person, oh yeah, this is a thing, because I'm so used to just knowing it's a thing that it can be easy to forget to take a step back from the outside point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rob, can you just, based on where we're at right now, like what's striking you hot right now?
Well, honestly, as soon as I get off my duff, I'm going to order some stuff. I'm going to order probably the small breadboard, at least a couple of the dual pull, dual throw switch adapters, and then a couple substitution boxes. And those, for anybody. And like he was saying, like existing pedal manufacturers, absolutely. Rather than having to build something like this myself,
now
hold Alex and shows up.
Where are you going to go to do that, Rob?
Coppersound Pedals.com, maybe.
Yeah, and like under the DIY tab at the top. If you were to ask me, that's where I would say. But I asked you, and that's what you said.
Okay, so there we go. But seriously,
he knows everything.
Yeah, not just amateurs. But this.
No,
like
your entire job is to build stuff.
Yeah.
And so like this is
and what I've got is something like for the breadboard is like something like Alex said he was using forever. I've got a piece of wood with a breadboard glued down to it with an old 1590B enclosure with a bunch of holes drilled in it with a switch and some jacks and little leads coming out of it.
Yeah.
It's very, it gets the job done, but it's, and of course, you got to have a bad connection in that box I built or something. Then I'm chasing down a problem I think's on the breadboard, but it's actually in the box. So this would be much more reliable.
Yeah. Well, I want to call out something that for me is important when it comes to systematic things. I've been using Apple computer stuff since I started using computers, and one of the upside of that is that, and which is the upside is compared to the downside of Windows-based stuff, is that the upside is it's all made by the same manufacturer. Everything you're doing, you just have to go to one place, and because those things are done well, that one place, the reliability factor really matters. So in the same vein, like if you're going to try, if you're doing anything having to work on a PC for any reason at all, trying to track down who's responsible for the problem that you have to fix is an absolute nightmare. Finding parts that are compatible, that are the most current, that you're not going to get robbed on, and all that stuff. The fact that all of these things are coming from not only the same manufacturer, but a manufacturer that actually builds pedals all day long. And to me, that right there is like absolute confirmation. Like, this is the only set of stuff that I need to get.
Here's another, along with your thing, reason to get substitution boxes. If you're a DIY guy who has never sourced parts from DigiKey Mouse or whatever, exactly. You can get a substitution box, flip through, find the one value, then you only have to source the one capacitor you end up wanting to build with rather than all 50 of them or whatever.
Well, and it's easy to say, oh, yeah, you can just switch through these and find whatever you want. But the problem is, as a beginner, in my first couple of attempts, I'm like, okay, this says this is the thing that I need. Well, if I wanted to do something different, I have no idea what the next thing that I could use would be without stopping everything I'm doing and spending hours trying to figure out what could be a possible modification to the resistor that I'm using.
And beyond
this is it right here.
And beyond that, with a substitution box, even if you did know, I want to get a .022 and .047.
It might not be the thing you want.
Well, no, you type that in on Mauser.
Yeah.
4,000 film capacitor matches come up, and then you're like,
Yeah. I don't understand. It's like, once you start doing that, you're like, how are any of these things built?
Yeah, that's actually, I think Alex will back this up. That's actually what you pay for.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it was definitely a long. I had already been doing years of sourcing from different suppliers and all of that, and really getting good at all of your DigiKey, your Mouser, Arrow. I love all those companies, and that's one of the main things I do for my day to day here. And yeah, it was a long process of finding all of the values that would work. Oh, okay, cool. I've got 24 resistors. Okay, I'm going to go from like 10 ohm up to 1 meg. Then when you get into capacitors, I wanted to go from 1N all the way to like 1U. I had to be able to also source somewhat oddball sizes of like, oh yeah, we always hear about 47. And then it's like, oh, it goes right up to like 0.1.
And then if you don't have the this is one of the first things that I ran into was, okay, I found 8 of the 10 things I need on like, love my switches or something, and they're out of 1 or 2 things, and then I'm like, great, now I got to go to this other place. Well, they've got what I need, but I either have to buy 1,000 of them or they only have 3 on hand, and then you got to go to another place. Ew, ugh.
Yep, it's tough, and then you're going to pay shipping from 2 different places, which might be more than the parts you're doing. So having a one-stop shop is really nice, and obviously we're sourcing for our DIY stuff. We source from a ton of different places, and we get a lot of inventory, but we put it all together for you because that's part of what the DIY's mission is to take a lot of that headache out. Later on, if you use our stuff and you make a product, that's awesome. We're happy to be along for the ride of your creativity and just speed up your creative process. And at some point, you'll figure out sourcing and suppliers and manufacturers and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But for right now, let's take that headache off the table for you.
Amen.
And just get like our kits. They got all the parts. We're going to source them and include them. You got the QR code. And you know what? Build yourself a small breadboard with a power supply, with one of the kits you choose. It's $69. You could even buy a sub box and go, okay, I'm going to out of the gate do this fuzz, and I'm going to get a different type of film cap for some of the parts or whatnot. And you can go to town for under $100.
Yeah. And you'll learn, and not only get all the things to build that, but now you've also learned along the way in a very easy path how these things actually work together.
Yeah,
absolutely. And like I said, it's not necessarily a detailed why it's doing it, because that's something for you to have fun learning on your own, whether you want to. Because I mean, here's the thing: you could build hundreds of pedals every month, and not necessarily. Like, I don't know all the physics behind it. I didn't go to school. Like I said, I'm not Jack DeVille. I'm not John Snyder. I'm not Joel Cordy. I'm not these guys. But if it sounds good, it is good, and you can on your own go to that depths of the ocean and figure out all of the stuff or get an education on it. But we wanted to like get you up and running and excited about the creative process, not necessarily all of the electronics and the physics side of things, because that will come naturally. And 90-something% of us are all self-taught, and if our DIY stuff can be the start of your journey, we're excited about that.
So, Alex, let's say I build this silicon fuzz here, your kit, and maybe I've customized it a little bit, maybe changed some diodes and things like that, got it to a point where I really, really like the way it sounds. What's my next step if I want to maybe build one or more of these, based on what the kit has done? So,
are you looking to like even have a small production or do a pedal yourself, Tony? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying, let's just say I built this and I like the way it sounds, and
so you're ready to build it as a pedal, like something you can take out, maybe even make a couple for your friends,
right? And because obviously you don't want to take a breadboard out and put it in a box or something like that.
That'd be kind of cool.
I guess you could, maybe a clear box or something like that. But do you offer, or can you provide guidance for someone that maybe wants to make a small run of something that they've kind of customized?
Yes, I'm glad that you actually asked that, Tony. So if you are looking to take that step of I got your stuff, I learned it, here's the schematic, I made some changes using your stuff, or I made some changes not using your stuff, however you got there, I do offer PCB services for clients of mine, and I take on a few a month. And what I do is, I usually, the client will get in contact with me, they'll say what they've created, and they'll be like, oh, I got this thing, I just don't know how to make it a PCB. And I'll work with them. We get a schematic going, even just bare bones stuff. Even if you like copied, say this fuzz face, Tony, you just built, you copy, it's literally one for one. However, you changed every single part, no problem. I can get that schematic online, open source. We can put your parts in, and you say, hey, I want the knobs in this location. We can start working on that as well. I make a PCB for my clients. We do a customized thing, and I get them up and running for that. For something like that, they can contact me through either DIY@coppersoundpedals.com, or they can email me at alex@coppersoundpedals.com, and I'd be happy to chat more about those type of services.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, Alex, this has been absolutely fantastic. We're, like, as we've been saying, we're very excited about this offering you have.
This is great stuff.
It really is. And do you have anything else that you want to share about this?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about this, and I wanted to extend just going on the whole idea of it being accessible and getting people into this. We wanted to offer a bundle pack of our DIY stuff, and all your listeners will have to do is, from the time this episode airs through July 31st, so that'll be the 25th of July through the 31st of July, if they email DIY@coppersoundpedals.com, they can put in the subject line Guitar Knobs Podcast, whatever they want, Throw Rocks at Todd, whatever they want the title to be.
Just put Guitar Knobs in some manner.
Some type of subject line. Email DIY@coppersoundpedals.com, put a fun subject line, and then say, enter me for the DIY giveaway. We'll put you on our news list, and then by the last day of the entry, which will be July 31st, we'll pick a winner. I'll talk to that person. We'll get them a bundle pack, and we can get them off to the races for all of your great listeners.
Oh, that's great.
That is fantastic. Tony?
Yes, Todd?
Rob, I'm so inspired by this, man. We're going to give away a bundle, a circuit bundle. We're going to give one to a Grand Poobah and one to an executive producer on our Patreon.
Nice.
Yeah. And when we do that, I think we'll have to figure out. I guess we'll let them choose which one they want, and then we'll get it out to them.
Yeah,
How's that?
that sounds
I like
good.
that because you got to. Which ones do you offer, Alex?
So for the circuit bundles, we offer Silicon Fuzz, a MOSFET booster, and a single transistor overdrive.
Perfect.
Yep.
I love this. I'm very excited to do this because it's been a little bit dry on the giveaway side, and I think this is the right thing to do.
I think so. I think
'Cause-
people are going to be our listeners are going to be very excited.
Absolutely. All right, Alex, thank you so much for all of this. It's been great fun talking about this. I'm looking at all this stuff, and it just makes me want to go try to build a pedal. That's super cool. Now, Tony,
Yes, Todd.
do we have anything else to offer
Well,
our lovely listeners?
We always have something else.
Actually, we've got a big something else.
Yeah. Hold on to your seats, folks.
Yes.
Because it's that point of the show that everyone loves, especially Rob Chaffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little ditty and a little game we play called "Oh, Would You Rather?"
That was like if Rob did it.
You really should. Hey, you really should sample Jared. For
I
that
know,
part.
I know. He keeps telling me, but if I do that, then he won't come back on, and he's just
Yeah, he will because
he's
he'll
hard
be
to
like,
get on.
"That wasn't a very good
Yeah.
recording." you know?
Anyways,
All right.
we've hopped into El Camino. We're driving past. We're throwing empty cans at
beer cans at Jared's house.
and trying to make sure they land on the deck. What do we got today, Tony?
So this is from our good friend Trevor Ellenberg.
Trevor Ellenberg, new patron.
Yes.
That's it. Keep going.
Okay, can I continue?
Yes.
Thank you. So this is an interesting one. It's a little bit long, but it'll come to you pretty quickly,
Okay.
and it has a little twist
Okay.
in it. You're walking down the street, and all of a sudden you stumble upon a time machine.
Oh, the old time machine.
I love
trick.
the time machines.
These genies and time machines get us every time.
Yes, this time machine, however, grants you the ability to go back in time to witness any, and I mean any, legendary historical guitar moment of your choosing, whether it's a studio session or live. Yeah, a couple examples might be maybe David Gilmour recording Comfortably Numb solo, or Jimi Hendrix playing Star Spangled Banner. Maybe Eddie Van Halen playing Eruption live. Ooh. If you had a chance to witness any guitar moment in history firsthand, what would it be? And note that the moment should be a song/solo and not the stage move.
Oh.
I mean, that's a Todd thing. Although I'm sure Todd would love to see a Stratocaster burned on a stage. So that's part one. You got to find your guitar musical moment, history, solo, song, whatever. Part two. As we know from Back to the Future, time travel doesn't come without its share of complications.
Oh, boy.
You were lucky you got to experience your song or solo of your choice, but after that, the time machine erases the timeline as we know it. That moment in guitar history will still be treasured as it was before you time traveled. However, it will never be exactly the same as you experienced it in its original state.
Because you've messed up the time-space
Yes,
continuum?
you've messed up the spot, the time-space continuum. In other words, you are the only person that got to listen to that moment in its original form.
This is like Quantum Leap, the TV show.
Oh, it gets complicated.
I'm confused
quantum
already.
physics. But you heard it just once, but you and everyone after that will forever hear it differently. Would you rather, one, have the song/solo be the same note for note, but the guitar tone completely different? Or two, would you keep the guitar tone as it was, but the notes of the song solo will be completely different?
Ooh. That's really hard.
This is heavy. This is heavy stuff. So, first rule of order,
And it has to be a solo?
it can be a song,
Oh, a whole song?
a whole song, live, for instance, or in the studio,
Okay.
if that's something that that's something very special to you, or the solo. which
So I get to be there to see the thing.
you see the thing, but because you've time traveled and you've messed with a time-space continuum, something's got to change. It might be 1, the notes, or 2, the guitar tone.
Okay.
Put your thinking hats on, folks.
Okay.
What?
Help Rob understand this.
We'll walk you through this, Rob.
Jeez.
I mean, we gave you some examples.
Maybe we could put some more, requirements in on this. Okay, so obviously it's got to be a guitar thing. It can't be like
Yeah, it's like a...
singer-songwriter writing a song.
All right.
It's got to be
Okay,
a studio
some
session.
iconic guitar thing.
Yes, that's the way to do it.
Okay, all right. That helps a little bit.
All right.
Alex, you set?
Could you, Tony, could you just refresh the very end part? What is it if after you do it and you come back, what's the would you rather part of the? I'm assuming you do want us to pick a historical thing and then
Yes.
answer the would you rather.
That is correct.
So I got the historical part. Now, when you come back, would you rather it what?
You either change the solo or the song can be exactly the same note for note, but the guitar tone has changed.
Okay.
Or you can keep the guitar tone the same, and the notes of the solo or song will be forever changed.
Okay, I have my answer for both parts.
Okay.
We should have had a seminar on this before.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
episode.
I love it.
You want me to go first?
Go, Tony,
As per usual.
Tony, tell us which one you would do.
I would do Brian May's solo in Bohemian Rhapsody
Oh.
in the studio.
So that's not a thing. They didn't pick that. That didn't pick that.
You don't have to pick. Those were just examples.
I thought it was a show. It's a show.
Oh no, it said studio.
You could
or.
be in the studio,
It did?
or it could be a
Yeah,
live
where
song.
were you at?
I
Oh
was
my!
listening. I was
Todd,
imagining.
You weren't even listening.
He blacked out
was-
again.
Throw
He
rocks
was-
at him.
He was thinking of the next thing that he was going to say.
Gonna say.
That's
No,
exactly
that's-
how he is.
He was practicing
That's
his
how he
non-active
is.
listening. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's my choice. I'm going to be in the studio with Brian May,
Right.
listening to him perform the solo from Bohemian Rhapsody.
I'm really stunned at that
Why? It's
because of how big of a John Lennon fan you are.
I never really considered much of what
that-
Lennon played
I'll-
that good in terms of
in tone,
guitar solos.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's
it
why I
could be
asked.
a song or solo.
Well, but that's why I asked the question about songwriters, because like if you could be there when Lennon wrote something or when they were working on this song,
Not an option.
right. That's why I asked that question.
It is
so,
not an
So that
option.
makes
But
sense.
they said it's a song. I can pick a song.
You're there for the moment, but because
recording of the song, but it
you've-
has to be referred to like or
But
deal
yeah,
with
yeah,
guitar.
because you've time traveled, you've changed something. And what I would my rather would be I would keep the solo the same note for note, but change the guitar tone.
Really?
Yes.
What would you change it to?
I don't know.
Okay,
That's a
just
good
different.
question. Just
Just
different.
different?
It would be different. Hopefully not markedly different.
Yeah.
It's not like it would
it'd
come
be-
out.
No, it would just be no distortion on the neck pickup.
Why do you make things so difficult, Todd?
Okay.
What are you going to say next?
Stop it.
I don't have one yet. Don't
Okay,
point to me.
we're going to go to Alex next. This is a really good one.
I like it.
This is hard.
No, that was a good one, Tony. Okay, going after that's going to be interesting, especially having Brian May. So what I'm doing, as for like classic guitarists, I have to go with my favorite, which is Mark Knopfler. And I'm going to go with.
I was thinking him too.
I think there's technically two, but the solo for I got to go with the classic Sultans of Swing. Just 'cause
Yes, sir.
it's recognizable, at least for the audience. It's not. I would have gone Telegraph Road as a thing, but I'm going to go with more of a listener favorite. So I'm going to go with Mark Knopfler's Sultans of Swing solo.
Okay.
To witness that. And I'm going to say, for my Would You Rather, I'm going to say because his style, no plectrum, fingers only, the tone he gets, I'm going to say keep the tone, change the notes, because I think his ability for melody on the fretboard there would still be something as good.
Yeah, but I don't. But that's. I mean, That's
no,
Alex, we argue.
No.
I was thinking about this one too, and it was like, but what do you choose? And
well,
and
you can choose different.
That melody, no.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll choose the same song, but no.
Okay, so
like
now it's your turn. Go
Rob,
ahead.
do you not understand the complexity of time travel?
Oh no. What I'm saying is, okay, then I'll use, because I was thinking about this, but I couldn't decide because his tone is so much who he is.
Yes.
But that melody is, I mean, signature. That is, to me, that song, like that. When that comes in, it's like,
But it'd
I
be
know
just
exactly
like playing on a commercial that they chose not to pay for the song, and it's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, those 2 notes or 3 notes might be enough.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah. So, okay. So,
First of all, okay, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, okay. So this is lame. I'm doing the same song, but I would actually go the opposite direction, and keep the melody, but change the tone, because you could clean it up or do whatever. But the
Make a play through a rat pedal
Okay, not so much that, but yeah,
with the bridge pickup only.
yeah, no. Well, okay, I guess with the understanding it can't be that tone. But
Interesting. Well,
Toddish.
first of all, I think we need to phone a friend that
Yeah,
isn't
this
going to
is-
pick up, because I think our friend that we've already mentioned, John Schneider,
Drink.
who is actually a quantum physicist.
Oh, that's right.
I would love to hear what he has to say about this.
Let's get him on the horn.
He would say neither of these things are an option. Both change the thing, and you've ruined time-space continuum.
you ruined the whole thing.
Anyways, what I would do, like, I didn't even have to sneeze at this. I didn't have to blink any bodily function.
What Wonderwall moment is he going to bring out?
I am in the middle of the show, live at
Where
Main
they
Road
fight?
in 96 Oasis for Rock and Roll Star, when Noel's playing the famous Union Jack guitar.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
Okay.
And I think I would keep it exactly as it is, because I'm a fan and everybody else wants to hear exactly what the thing is. I would change the tone. I would just give it more gain.
More game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I would love it. Yeah, you guys. Did you like text each other to
No.
come up with that?
No.
You.
We just both had the exact same reaction.
All right. Anyways, that was a great question.
Yes,
Trevor.
Trevor. Thank you. That was
outstanding.
It made us think.
Yeah, it was awesome. And how random, 2 guests chose the exact same person and song.
Yeah, it's seriously. I was debating that or Clapton. Those were the options.
Yeah.
Clapton
Yeah.
live.
What? Sorry,
Have you ever listened to
I
24
missed
Nights?
what you just said.
You blow.
Anyways, all right, this has been a ton of fun. Tony, we need to thank some people.
Yes, we do, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, what's an executive producer, you might be wondering? An executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Very easy. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple of different levels in which you can participate. Become a sponsor, a patron, a hero of this show.
Yes,
Each
they
level,
are the heroes of the show, for real.
Yes. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts,
Yes,
And apparently,
and giveaways.
Opportunities to win some very nice things.
Yes.
As an executive producer, you get all the good stuff, all the great stuff. But there's one thing more. What is it?
Get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, John Helverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Barazin, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, David Tyndall, Trevor Ellenberg.
Yay.
Yes, indeed. And Christopher Logan. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Christopher Logan, if you're hearing this, you need to answer my email, doggone it.
Answer Todd's email. Do I need to send you one? You know, Todd.
Yes.
There's another group
Personally.
Yes, he is. There's another group of executive producers. Mm-hmm. These are our grand poobahs.
Yes.
These are the creme de la creme.
The tippity top.
The top of the heap.
The cream of the crop.
That's all that stuff.
You get stuck? What's going on?
Push the reset button.
I'm just watching you flip that fez around.
Yeah.
Because, our grand poobahs get a fez to wear upon their
wearing
heads.
a special fez.
I saw
An
the
extra
special fez. That was very nice. So I'm going to thank these grand poobahs right now, right before you. So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Van Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, and our poet emeritus, Matt Hart.
Yes, indeed. I also want to give a huge shout out to Doug Christ. He's just a solid person out there who's been supporting us for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say extra special thanks to that man.
Nice.
I'm getting lunch with him soon.
Oh, you are?
Yes,
Fantastic.
we try to hook up every couple months or so.
That's cool. That's very cool. He's a good dude. Alrighty. Now, Alex, please remind everybody where to go to get this DIY stuff and the amazing and very generous deal you're offering.
Yes, so listeners of the show, they're going to want to go to coppersoundpedals.com/DIY to check out all the goodies that we spoke of today. And additionally, as we mentioned before, we're going to do a giveaway. And the easiest way to enter that giveaway for us is for you to just simply email us. That would be DIY@coppersoundpedals.com. Leave something in the subject line like podcast or DIY giveaway. And we're going to enter you to get a DIY bundle of our choosing to send you to get you on your way. That's going to be running from July 25th through July 31st. And we'll pick a winner at the beginning of August and reach out to them.
Nice.
Outstanding.
Thank you for doing that.
Alex, you actually, I want to also mention for those listening who are like, hey, this sounds really interesting. I'd love to get a little bit more information on just the whole DIY and pedal building in general. Alex, you have some resources to share that we are going to put in the actual notes in the podcast on our website. And that should show up in the notes as well on Spotify and wherever it's streaming, pretty sure. So can you run through those real quick for us?
For sure, yeah. So as Rob and you guys had mentioned, sometimes there can be hurdles like sourcing parts and then sometimes where you're going to read information. And we have that vast wealth of knowledge and stuff on at our fingertips. So I've given a couple links that are going to be in the show notes. I have a few different resources for some educational reading that's not on the super complicated techie side. I've also linked a couple of resources. One of them is Our DIY and a couple other websites that are good for tools of the trade, your soldering irons, all of that type of stuff. And I also have a list of 3 different suppliers that are good for having curated supplies that are pedal world centric. So you're not going to find a regulator that you don't need that's for a computer. You're going to find resistors and caps and diodes and all that fun stuff that we want to tinker with, and it's curated for our world. So check out those resources for some reading material, some tools, and some easy component sourcing.
Alex Guaraldi, Dr. DIY. Woo! Tony, where can people find you?
Just head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things I have available for sale, but by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do, what you want to do, what you're looking for. I'll take good care of you.
Love it. Rob?
Instagram's the most active place. Mad Comification on Instagram. And you can see all the stuff I'm doing and send me a message if you need something fixed or modded or rehabbed or whatever.
Yeah. If your amp is sick, he's the doctor.
Thank you.
You can make a shirt out of that.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Copyright Todd.
You can shoot me an email, Todd at the guitar.
Who are you?
Man. Yeah, I know, right? Hey, you can shoot me an email at Todd at theguitarknobs.com. DM me at Instagram at guitarknobs. And love to hear from you. Send us your Would You Rathers and any questions, especially if you had anything about this episode or whatnot. Tell us what's going on in your music world. We'd love to hear from you. Also, please check out flinteffects.com and get yourself a stomper, especially if you've got an HX stomp, an Eventide H90, or anything of the like. We've got a handful of things that we cover there, and you need to protect your knobs. And we actually have some red sparkle ones that we're doing right now. So those are,
sparkle.
We just sold out a gold one, so we got to make new ones.
Oh, Todd, the one more thing.
Yes?
If there's anyone out there that wants to throw rocks at Todd,
Stop it.
You can go to rocks4todd.com and sign up for right there.
Did you just buy that or something?
That would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome. You missed the opportunity of a lifetime.
Damn.
Hey, last thing I'll say, if all of you who have been listening and you support us and you like music, please go to Spotify, go to Bandcamp, go to Apple, go to wherever you get your streaming stuff, and please give a listen to the Valentinos' latest single, Hands Tied. I would greatly appreciate a bump in our algorithm. And the song I think is pretty dang good. And I'd love to hear what you think of it too. Okay?
Should they follow you too?
Follow us. Yes, please do that on Instagram and all that good stuff. All right, we have what do you call it when you shell
shocked?
No, you
verklempt.
No,
Exhausted.
Anyways, hey everybody, have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
Yeah. I'm great. How are you?
You are one hell of a salesman. Anthony?
Hello?
The Skeletor memes that are going on social. He goes, remember, baloney is just hot dog pancakes until we meet again.
Wow, I
He
never
runs
thought
off.
of it that way.
It's so great.
It's pretty good.
What would you be in circuitry terms?
He'd be a diode.
Yeah, some type of passive thing, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, diodes
like
are
a
cool.
battery, like a battery.
Yeah, I could spark a charge if need be.
Yes, and if not used, no problem.
And like Frank Reynolds said, throw me in the trash.
That wasn't very good. My claps are really off these days. Hang on. That was a good one. Yeah, Rob is kind of... If you guys had a fight, it would just be so boring.
Wow.
It'd just be like,
You
no,
guys are harsh
No, you
tonight.
are.
I know you are, but what am I?
Stop it. I'm going to hit you.
You won't like it.
I'm
Ouch.
leaving now.
Take
Do
that.
you have any ice? I swear. That just put me on the ground. When
Boy, it doesn't take much, does it?
No. 3, oh man, I blew it. Don't look at me.
3 Amigos?
No, you Spanish Inquisition. Damn it.
Okay, I see you now.
Yeah.
It says, oh no, that was weird. It said failed algebra 4 times. No, it said Todd Novak. No.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's awesome.
And we'll just call it a Coppersound takeover, okay?
Sure. Sounds good.
Oh man.
That was perfect.
Oh, I want to go on a really long road trip with you.
I can get on a tangent easily. If you want to talk about Jaws, I can do that for like the entire day.
Jaws, really? That is very specific.
Well, I did a podcast with Masters of the Cinematic Universe about Jaws.
Yeah.
So I can talk shop.
You know what? I did that one too, and
Oh, I heard. Oh, we all heard. I didn't listen, but we all heard.
You didn't listen, but
thanks for not listening.
Yes.
What are we referring to?
Todd did Search and Destroy.
Yes.
And it did not go over well, as from what I heard.
It tanked. It was so bad. But
I know that I have a bias here, but I think the thing that really hammered in a really interesting contrast is like, I think I was a couple episodes before or after you, and I had done my favorite movie of all time, which is No Country for Old Men.
Great movie.
They're very different movies, it seems like.
Yes. They said, what movie do you want to do? And I was like, I didn't even skip a beat. I'm like, Search and Destroy. I'm like, we've never heard of that. And I'm like, oh, it's fantastic. Christopher Walken, Griffin Dunn, Roseanne Arquette, John Turturro, Dennis Hopper, Ethan Hawke. Like, dude, the cast is crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But so is the movie, which is awesome. I got on there and I was like, this is so cool because like everybody I try to introduce this movie to, and I can't wait to hear them go like, oh man, this is so great. They got on, they said, just so we're clear, because before we did this podcast, we hated this movie. And I was like, what? So the entire movie was like me defending why the movie is really awesome.
I like
it's
that.
a great movie.
I actually need to listen to that.
It's
This sounds like a good time.
It's fantastic. I mean, Christopher Walken's like doing a soft shoe and everything in a geisha bar in Manhattan. It's like, what's better than that, right? We have a bit. We're gonna do a bit.
Yeah,
I love it.
Let's do a bit.
There we go. Alex,
Yes.
you want?
Delay.
I'll have to edit that for sure. But right?
We're not even
lost
in the
translation.
We're not
Alex?
even doing the podcast yet, doofus.
Actually, wait. I'll save this for the podcast. Hang on.
Yes. What are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. All right.
No one expects a DIY Inquisition.
Yes. All right. So
I thought this was the podcast.
it is. We're there. And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.